Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Spirit Connections. I'm so excited tonight. Just like every Spirit Connections, I'm always so excited. So I'm glad everybody's here to join us tonight. I have a couple special guests. I have two of my very good friends on tonight. First, I'd like to introduce Miss Necole Stevens, Spirit Medium. Miss Lilly Fasino.
Hi.
And also myself, it's going to be a great night. Tiffany Rice, Spirit Medium. So, how's everyone doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Your watch is very pretty.
Oh, thank you. It's sparkly. It has a little bling bling
I know,
to
bling
it.
bling. I noticed that.
I wanted to just add a little shine, you know? I feel like I'm wearing a muscle shirt because my shirt keeps on rolling up. And thank you, Lilly, for joining us. I'm so excited. Lily's our guest chat room host tonight, so if you guys have any questions, please get it into the chat room. We'd love to hear your questions. We love to hear your opinions, all of that. So I would love for you guys to just go on and ask Lily anything you want, and she will tell us. So, oh, what?
Press the button on the top.
Okay. All right, I was muted this whole time.
You're so hard to
Okay. Okay, game on. All right, so I'm sorry. This always seems to happen when Necole always brings the technical difficulties with her. But I love it, and I love you, and this is why I love having you on, because it's never a dull moment.
You just changed your batteries since that whole thing, so...
We switched mics, we changed the batteries, and then I realized I was just told that my mic was on mute the entire time. So I apologize if you guys can't, if you didn't understand me. And thank you guys for turning the lights down, because I had told them earlier, it's so bright in here, I feel so pasty, and so they're trying to make me look like I have a little tan. So I appreciate it, guys. Anyways.
So how's it going?
Everything is going great. It's going crazy. The weather is getting warmer out, which I'm getting excited for. You know, spring's right around the corner. My birthday's right around the corner on Sunday.
You're getting old.
I don't want to talk about how old I am, but I want to talk about cake and celebrating being happy and having. I love birthdays. You know what? And I don't care. I don't care how old I get, because each birthday is just another celebration to me, because I love it. I just love having friends and family around me, and whether it's playing it low key and just going out to dinner or going someplace fun, I like the whole celebration. I like being in groups.
I just like cake.
I know you do. You like cheesecake. That's your favorite.
And vanilla cake.
But your birthday's July, right?
Yeah. So I was that kid in school that always missed the birthday party because I had the summer birthday.
Same with Lily. Like, you're a July birthday too. Mm-hmm. You guys are 10.
I'm 22nd.
Yeah, I was going to say 10 days. I'm the 23rd.
Yes, I love that number.
You do? What, the 22nd?
Well, mine's the 22nd, but the 23rd is well, I like the 22nd and the 23rd. So
I love it.
I know. Do you know the story behind that? Well,
I know the story behind the 22nd, but I don't know.
Well, my birthday is on the 22nd, and my younger brother who passed is on the 23rd. And my older son is the 22nd, and my younger, Zachary is the 23rd.
Oh, okay. So I didn't know the connection.
Yeah, there's a lot of them, and Zachary passed 22 months after my brother. So I would be here for days.
Just going through it.
With the 22 and the 23.
And it's so funny, because if you guys didn't know, Necole and I have been friends for quite some time, and we talk so much, and so I'm constantly learning something new about you.
Yeah. And on the ride down here, it was a little bizarre, because today I was actually preparing for my class tomorrow night, or my seminar, and it's about signs, and so I was writing some things and talking about Zachary and thinking about Zachary and about all the different signs, and I want them too,
Right.
And the entire ride down here, you couldn't even make this up. Like, it was ridiculous. Every single license plate said ZT or Z23, Z22. It was insane. I actually took a photograph. One of them said 22 TV 38 which he passed on 3/8. But it was just
It's crazy
insane
to me.
So I took a picture. I was sitting in traffic, and I'm like, I got behind a Big Mac truck and took a picture of it.
And it's funny because I always tell you too, whenever time, if I go a week or so without talking to Nicole, all of a sudden I'll be driving, because I drive a lot, and I'll start noticing whether it's 8.3 or 3.8, and ZTs come out all the time.
Right.
And actually this past Friday, I took a picture for you because I was passing a billboard, and it had the numbers 08, 03, 20, like all these numbers that were significant to you. And I'm like, okay, Zach, all right, I will call your mom. I know. And yeah, so I love it. He comes through so much for you. And we talk about signs all the time on here. And we talk about certain signs. What can you expect, or do you have to expect? Can it just happen? But I wanted to kind of switch it up a little bit on this show tonight, because there's a topic that I want to kind of tread lightly on, but I think it affects so many of us. And it's known as survivor's guilt. And if you guys don't know what survivor's guilt is, it's, for me, it's basically, the best way I can describe it is after your loved one has passed, you having the guilt of, did I say enough to the person? Was I able to say goodbye? Should I have been there with them? Maybe you guys left it off on bad terms. Should I be, since it's been some time, is it okay for me to move past this person's passing? Is it okay for me to heal and be happy? Or should I continue to mourn? There's so many aspects.
There's also why them and not me.
Right.
Huge. Whether it's, siblings that feel it, regarding their siblings, parents, spouse. Huge amount of people, have survivor's guilt. It's very, very common. And it's really, it's heartbreaking to see. And, I know even, sometimes with my children, I see that, with Zachary. I had it with my brother, and with my son, of course. Why him? He's a child. Why not me? I actually had a session, and I start meditating prior to my session, and so I had kind of been closed down for a few days, taking care of myself.
So you weren't receiving
a
reading?
No, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
I had a session. I was doing a session for someone.
You were giving a reading.
I don't get sessions.
Okay. You never know.
I'm open to it. I just
Well, we give each other sessions all the time.
Yeah, that's true. So,
Nicole, tell me about this.
Yeah. She calls me.
Yeah.
I'll give you a name. Let me
Give
know
me a
what
name.
you get.
What are you getting? 5 things. Go.
So I had a session coming up, and it was so bizarre. So I had been closed down. Not everyone walks around wide open, as you know, all the time. And I tend to try to shut down when I'm not working, so to speak. So I had shut down, and then I was opening for my session. And I'm telling you, once I opened, it was like, boom, a friend of mine's loved one came through with the other loved one that for my session. And I had about 15 minutes prior to my client getting there. And it was a woman's husband who had passed, and he was very, very concerned with her. She had, she's grieving. This hasn't been a long time. And she was having a hard time with it. And he saw her standing in the mirror holding a heart necklace and reciting a poem that went with the necklace, and was, talking to him. And he was conveying this. So I was texting my friend saying, so-and-so's coming through, and he has some messages and whatnot. And he was concerned with her and worried, and she was feeling really, having a really hard time with it. But he was like right there, had to get messages through to let her know that he was okay and he was watching over her. And, does it take away the pain? Of course not, but it did lighten things for her, and she was very happy to receive that. And I was really excited too. And I actually had to tell him to kind of step aside, because I was like, okay, you need to step aside so I can do my reading. We can chat more later. But
it does. It sometimes takes a hold on you. I mean, I've done readings before, and it's the same type of feeling. People will just say, if there was just something I could have done, if he had just reached out to me, I know I could have done something. And
If they could have, they would have. I truly believe, if there was anything I could have done within my power to save my son or my brother, or my father, I would have.
Right.
So I absolutely would have. And guilt actually means with the intent to harm. That's actually the definition of it. So I don't think any of us do something with the intent to harm our loved ones. And if you did, you're probably not feeling guilty.
Right.
Because then it's coming from a completely different place. But if we could have done something, we would have, but it's really, we're not that powerful to be able to control that. It's out of our hands. If there is a divine plan.
Exactly, and that's something that we have to think about, is that, you're right, there is a contract, there is a divine plan out there for us.
It doesn't mean I like it, don't get me wrong, because
right.
whoever makes this contract and plan, we have a lot of talking to do at
Well,
one point.
exactly, keep in mind, guys, we all, all of us talk about love and light. However, at the same time, we've all been affected by our loved ones passing.
Absolutely.
And we've been affected by loved ones passing in untimely manners. So it's...
Grief and spirituality are two different things.
Right. We're human too.
Totally different things. They do help each other, but grieving is something we do out of love. Grieving is something that we do very here, now, physical. Spirituality, or our faith, religion, that's all going to help us with our grief. But people seem to get them confused sometimes and think,
right.
even especially with us, that, well, you're spiritual, so you don't grieve. You guys haven't seen me at home.
Exactly.
It doesn't change my missing my, child at all. So yeah, I don't care. You can be Buddha. You're still going to miss your child. It doesn't matter.
Absolutely. I was just with a very close friend of mine who had a sibling pass away, and it was one of the toughest things that I felt that I had to go through with her. And I mean, it's something that's still so recent, so fresh. And we were able to celebrate his life, and it was just something that was just taken away so soon. The services, everything was beautiful, but we were all grieving, including me. Like, do I know that he's still with us? Of course I do. Right. Does she know? She has an understanding too. However, it's missing that presence, that physical presence of that person.
Right. It's our, we kind of, maybe not on a conscious level think of it, but the unmet hopes of our loved one, the unmet dreams, and ours. As a parent, I had dreams for Zachary, and it took me a little while to kind of step back and say, you know what, he's still doing great things, he's just doing them from a different place.
Right.
So, it's so many things combined in one for that. And I'll never say acceptance, you know that. I've said that many times on here. I call it acknowledgement, because I will never accept, just openly, it's fine, it happened, no. But I do acknowledge it. So.
Well, we do have a question. Let me see if I can read it, because I don't have my glasses on, per usual. When giving readings, what types of guilt are commonly expressed? I think we've touched base a little bit on it.
I think a huge one is if their loved one is on life support, whether or not they did the right thing. And I have found through my sessions that, all of them that I have experienced, nobody ever said you shouldn't have turned it off. They have came through saying that wasn't me. That's not how I wanted to live. That's not a life for me.
Absolutely.
And I think sometimes we get very conflicted because we want them here with us, and we do it sometimes more for us than we do for them. I know if I was in that position, if I was the patient, so to speak, and I was on life support or something, I personally wouldn't want to be in that place. And everyone has to do what's right for them, obviously.
Right.
Some people it's right for and they have to do that, but as far as, people who have made choices to say, you know what, this is not where my loved one wants to be, and they do move forward. They also, it just can be so conflicting for them. I think that there's a sense of relief that their loved one isn't in pain, but then there's also the guilt of, what if I could have done more? And, what did I do something wrong? Did I do something too soon? Is this what they wanted? And Spirit always comes through saying, thank you. And they're very grateful.
Right.
That, for releasing them from that physical body that they were being kind of trapped in at that time. And, I really wanted to express that I'm not condemning anyone who keeps their loved ones on. That's not my intent at all. You have to do what's right for you. It's just from my experience with spirit, when you have made that choice and then you come to have a session with myself or other colleagues and express guilt over doing that. So, because I respect everyone's choices, I don't want anyone to think I'm saying, you know, shut off the machine, and that's not my intent.
And do you have a question, Lily?
Yeah, we have a chat room question. How do you relieve yourself of the guilt, and how do you release it?
Well, I think it depends on the guilt, and I think I need a little bit more of an elaboration. And you know, we don't know anyone's name, so they don't have to disclose their name, because it depends on what kind of guilt you're feeling too.
Right. I mean, sorry.
No,
it's
go
okay.
ahead.
I was
Go
just
ahead.
going to say it depends too. Exactly. Like, how do you relieve yourself of the guilt? And it kind of touches base on what Necole had just mentioned. It's knowing that our loved ones, when they do come through with our messages, they usually tell us thank you, and they don't want to live. If it was a situation where maybe you had to keep someone on machines to keep them alive, it could be they may not have wanted to live that particular lifestyle. And they come back saying thank you. And they also show, and I know you and I have spoken about this before, they show us like, hey, we want to let you know, remember me this way. And they'll show us how they were in their heyday. And usually full motion, when they were 100% happy and healthy. So know that. And do things that would celebrate their lives. As far as, I think that helps a lot in the grieving process.
It's so easy for us to self-sabotage and for us to take on all of the pain and the responsibility of our loved ones not to be here, because we want somebody to blame, even if it's ourselves, because it's easier. It's easier for us, it's our human nature to, blame cancer, or to, blame the doctors, or to blame us, like I should have done something, I could have. And our mind is really the greatest tool when it comes to grief, more than any medium, any book, anything you're going to read, anything. It really is our minds and how our thought process, how we change it and how we utilize our minds it can take us in one or two directions. So you can allow yourself to spiral down the black hole, or you can kind of flip things in a different way. And I'm not saying like in a positive way, but even as far as, getting out of bed in the morning rather than, kind of falling onto the floor getting out of bed, but literally, and I do this myself, I just kind of, for that few minutes as I'm laying in bed, before I even open my eyes, even though I'm awake, kind of, please give me the strength to make it through today and just do the best that I can today. And that's all that I'm asking. I'm not asking to be a hero for the day or anything. It's just kind of, can you just give me that extra little boost and support?
And it goes back to, we are human too.
Right.
And we have all suffered loved ones pass untimely. And I think it's good for you guys to know that we can, just like you grieve during the day, or I don't want to say just during the day, but
it's all the time, honey.
Right. It's not like, 5 to 7, grieving time. But, just like sometimes you guys may struggle getting out of bed, sometimes we do too. And that's when we have to kind of just put our faith in whatever it is that we want to put our faith in, and ask and set our intentions for our highest, greatest good. And sometimes it's horrible to be positive, and there are days where you don't want to be positive and you want to swear up and down.
And I do. You guys know,
you have to be true to yourself.
I have a fresh mouth, and it's not that I walk around angry at people and I'm mean.
But just know there's a human side.
Absolutely.
And that's what we're telling you.
I work out, as I've always said on here, that's a huge release for me, because I do have, some kind of anger, just, this shouldn't have happened, but there's nothing, like, it's out of my hands, it's out of my control. We're all going to pass at some time.
And we can't continue to live our lives stuck in that sentence, this shouldn't have happened.
We will never... I don't mean to interrupt you,
it's okay.
but
I know.
We will never, ever, and I think I actually just wrote this in a newsletter or something, but we will never, no matter how many times we rack our brain around it, make something illogical logical, whether it's with a child, with cancer, with an overdose, it doesn't matter. Because everyone grieves differently, obviously, but the core of our grief remains the same. We miss our loved ones and we're hurting. And we want some type of acknowledgement of our pain. We don't want anyone to minimalize it in any way, but we kind of all want that comfort in some way. And so, You can continue. I didn't mean to cut you off. I get so passionate about it, and I just
that's
start
how
going.
I get to be the same way, and I'm like, well, wait,
Yeah.
because we
'Cause
we
I-
do a lot of the same things, and we see a lot of the same things, and you know, I was going to even bring up the fact that sometimes with survivor's guilt, I get people that, for instance, were supposed to be in a car
Yeah, and they
with
weren't.
someone, and they didn't. They're supposed to bring someone home, and they didn't bring that person home, and that person went with somebody else. And so I get the question, why wasn't I with them? I should have been with them. Or why didn't I leave when they wanted to go? Why didn't I wait? And again, it's one of those things where it's, why did this happen? And you're trying to find something, you're trying to find logic out of something that is completely illogical.
You're trying to rationalize it. That's our logical mind, trying to make sense of something that we
I
can't.
missed that phone call.
Yeah, I should.
They called me. Why didn't I answer?
And you know, I don't believe in coincidences, and
Me neither.
just as much as you may have missed a phone call, the same goes on the other end of it, that your loved one dropped by just to say I love you for no reason and left. Or there were, you know, two people in a car, one passed, one didn't, but the other one should have gotten her, you know,
Right.
because I do really believe with all of my heart and soul that our day is chosen when we're going to come and when we're going to go. And so regardless of where
Because
they...
again, we're finding that logic. But it's true.
Wait, what?
We're finding, because
threw
we
me
have
off.
we have to make sense of something.
Do you mean us? Were you saying us?
Us, when you said, I truly believe that our day is pre-planned.
That's only because Spirit told me. No. Spirit told me though. No.
But it's true. Like we still have to, and
Absolutely.
I go on that too. We have a contract.
We do, and our day is chosen. It
And
doesn't
there's
mean...
more questions. Sorry.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
There's not a question, but there's someone in the chat room who I would like to know what advice you would give them if they're struggling with not being able to get to the hospital before their loved one passed.
Their loved one knows, absolutely knows. I recently had another client that they couldn't get to the hospital, and it was kind of an odd situation. Your loved one typically starts to...
They'll show
How-
us, and I feel like, okay.
Well,
sorry.
they transition prior. They're already shifting
They do.
prior to that actual moment of
That
their
physical
passing, that
moment.
physical moment. They're already transitioning. And most of the time, I don't know if you found this or not, but I would say 9 out of 10 of my clients have said to me that something was odd, something was different before their loved one had passed. Something just totally random. It may not even have been physical, but there was just something different. And it's because, and I know exactly it was, they were already shifting. So their spirit was already starting to lift. And so that person who didn't make it to the hospital, their loved one was right there with them and knew that. I remember when Zachary passed, that my son, because my 2 boys and I were there that morning, and I remember my son coming up to me saying that he saw Zachary that morning, and how he said he was a little confused as to where he was, Mommy. And he was only 7 when he said this, and he said,
You saw Zachary in spirit?
yes.
Okay.
And he said he was a little confused as to where he was. But then he was okay. And then he just went into the other room because it was so matter of fact to him. So he just kind of made a little statement, then walked. So Zachary actually we were still in the room and had been watching over us. I was obviously not connecting with him. It doesn't work like that for me. But, you know, to show how they are. And something that I think is really great, I know I'm all over the place, it's your energy, but is reading near-death experience books is so
Yes.
incredible, because that's the closest you're going to get to the actual experience, and to hear the consistencies with the different stories from different places, it fascinates me.
I actually spoke, a very close friend of mine, I just recently saw him, and he has been in and out of the hospital dealing with some medical issues, and he had shared a story with me that they labeled a near-death experience, and how articulate he was with everything that he saw, and the feelings, just everything. I was overwhelmed with emotion by what he was telling me. So I feel 100% honored that he took the time to actually tell me and open up to me like that, because like you said, most of the time you read them in books, but to
Right.
actually have someone physically tell you their personal experience, it was absolutely amazing. I'm so grateful that he was able to tell me physically what had happened. But it's definitely, it's something that you guys should definitely take a look into if you are interested in it. It's something that is...
Dr. Robert Moody is amazing. He has some amazing books out there. My brother actually had 2 near-death experiences prior to his passing. And he always said, like, forever that he would not live past the age of 30. Like, he said this for years and years and years and years. And I used to say, oh, you're crazy, you know, the whole thing. And he actually passed 1 month past his 30th birthday. But he had 2 near-death experiences, and he kind of joked afterwards. He was like, and I saw you there, and I was like, me? And he goes, yeah, you were there. So he had shared the whole experience with me,
Right.
but I guess, I don't know why I was there, but I was he was pronounced in an ambulance on one of them. I know of one more in detail than the other one. I think I was angry about the first one, and then the second one he kind of went more into detail, but he actually was saying of, you know, how he was, like, he couldn't hear and he was in this tunnel, and I was standing there and saying, it's not your time, you have to go back. And I was a little
Very
confused
similar.
as why I was there, because I was here, but I was like, well, that's because you never listen to me, you know?
And Lily,
I'm
you have a
sorry.
question?
Are there any other books that you would recommend, or just that specific author?
He actually has several of them, and like some are with children, some are with adults.
I read 90 Minutes in Heaven.
And I was gonna
I
say,
read that one. That's one of the most infamous ones.
that's a really good one. And he has an awesome children's one. It's about all children that have had near-death experiences that are amazing. And if you also go on my website, I have a recommended reading list, and there's several books on there on near-death experiences as well.
It's absolutely, like I said, when my friend shared his story, he said that he saw all his past relatives, and he was trying so hard to wave hi to them, and they were just smiling and talking and waving to him. And he's like, I just remember I kept on trying to lift my arm up to wave, and I couldn't. And then all of a sudden, you know, it was just this elaborate story. And
they're so in detail.
they are in detail. And how he told, like, it was a story that, say, if it was a conversation between you and I, even though we're both long-winded, it probably would be like a 5-second, like, oh yeah, and then I saw so-and-so and so-and-so, and it was cool. But it's not like that.
It's similar to a visit from your loved one in your dreams.
You'll never forget it.
Like, you'll never forget it. You'll feel it. It seems like it just happened 10 seconds ago. It's extremely vivid. Like, every little detail down to, you know, the buttons on your shirt. It's just so vivid. And it's so similar to that, which I don't have many of those visits during my sleep, so I can't really talk a lot about dreams, but
it's funny because when you mentioned the buttons on the shirt, he had come across this one woman during this experience of his that he didn't recognize. And so he was going through, he got together with his family and he was going through pictures because obviously he had told his family about it. And so as they're going through pictures, he sees who he saw. And it was, she had passed before he was born. And he's like, that's the woman, that's who I saw, that's exactly who it was. And I don't remember if it was a great-grandmother or it was just someone that he was related to that he didn't.
well, like the
beforehand.
neurosurgeon who just wrote the book.
Oh, yes.
And that was about I believe his sister that had passed many, many, many years prior to him being born. And he had a near-death experience, and he didn't know who this woman was that he saw. And don't quote me on this, but it's something along this lines. I don't know the exact story. But he had, you know, not known this woman, and then was looking, like years later, looking through photo albums, I believe with his sister, and he said, who is that? I saw this woman, like I know this woman. And she said she had passed, you know, before you were even born and whatnot. And it goes into detail
I need
about...
to read again.
Really?
It's
I
getting
know,
me
you know what?
motivated.
I
I'm like, I
love
really...
reading, and then I tend to not have time to, or I start and then I fall asleep, like I started, you know, a few pages, so...
And Lily?
What recommendations would you have for helping a grandchild cope with the loss of her grandparent that she did not get to say goodbye to?
Well, I guess it also depends on how
Or I
old the
guess
grandchild
Yeah, it depends on the
is.
age.
Does it
Do
say
they
an
say
age?
an age?
No.
Because
Sure, no,
if they're younger, or did you say you asked?
No, but now we're talking about it, so I'm sure the 13.
Okay.
13? Okay.
So 13 is an extremely pivotal age for children.
Highly emotional ages, I'm sure we all know. We've
And
all experienced
that's
ourselves.
actually the stage where they know about a passing, they understand it more, but it's like very, they really feel it versus, a 7 or 8 year old who knows it, they're really not really sure where they go. My, advice is always to be honest, to let them know that they are still around, but by still communicating, talking about, their grandparents, whether it's grandmom or, dad, but, if it's Nana, for example, talking about Nana.
And letting them know it's okay.
It's okay to
It's
talk
okay
about.
to talk
I
about them.
believe that, I just feel like as parents, we kind of guide grief for our children. And so we're going to
Well,
lead
they
the
look
way
up
for
to
them. They
us.
do. And if we are trying to be really strong and, not do anything and hide it from them, then they may feel sad about crying and grieving. Whereas if you kind of are more open with it
And acknowledge it.
you know what, this hurts.
This is how we
hurts,
feel.
and it, you're gonna have that little feeling that you want to just throw up,
Right.
and it's okay. This is how it feels. But
It's okay
you
to
have
keep their picture up. It's okay.
it's okay, and you have
Exactly.
special, eyes in heaven right now that watch you at all times.
And that's what I always say. You have your own special protective guardian
Yeah.
angel watching over you.
But my son was 13 when his brother passed, and it's just such an emotional age, and it's so confusing, and a huge amount of survivor's guilt with that age because it's very confusing.
It's a
For
confusing
them.
age to begin with. Like
But
I
that's
said,
what I
it's
mean.
highly emotional. You don't know what are you supposed to treat it like an adult? Are you supposed to treat it like a kid? Or are you supposed to
them.
I know. It.
Them, like,
Well, I meant the
I know.
situation. I meant the
I know.
situation. I didn't mean like the person. I would at least say the person. But are you supposed to treat the situation like an adult? Or are you supposed to treat the situation like you want to feel? It's just
the best thing is honesty and letting them express how they feel and no judgment in any way,
Right.
like good or bad, like any way, just kind of
the
allowing
world has
them
enough
to be,
judges. You don't need to be the judge.
and not doting on them as well, because
Right.
every child is different. So some children, they really need to cry, whereas other children need to release their, grief in a different way, such as playing a musical instrument. They may want to do ballet.
That's
they may-
huge, by the way.
Absolutely.
Sorry to interrupt you, but a lot of times when parents come in and talk and they'll bring up, my daughter, my son is having an issue, and usually the past loved one will bring up something that child specializes in, whether it's a sport, whether it's painting, whether it's music. Allow them to get through their emotions by doing something that they have a passion for.
And it's constructive, it's positive for them.
Right.
My son, he played guitar for, I'm not joking, 9, 12 hours a day.
And he's amazing at it now. He's 17, 18?
17.
17, he's absolutely amazing.
And he has just taken his emotions and just, threw it in there. My other son did different things, so you're gonna get through it. I make Facebook posts. I don't know, you kind of go to wherever is a safe place that's very mindless and tedious to release it.
Exactly.
Or if you're not feeling that you have that, that's typically when there can be issues, and you definitely have to watch teenagers with grief a lot more.
Exactly.
They can't. Sorry, do you want to talk? I'm
no,
sorry.
no,
I
it's
could.
okay.
I get so
I know.
passionate. I could talk for days about
That's
this.
why we could have a 2-hour show, but I know there's a lot of questions.
Sorry,
so that's
sorry. Go
why
ahead. I'm keeping it short.
Okay, another question is, if a loved one that passed has not come in a dream, does that mean anything?
No.
No, there's other ways. So many people want that. I want that dream. I want that dream.
Why is there honestly, is there a reason that not just that person in the chat room, but that so many people are so, even myself, I was before, but so fixated on dreams versus other signs? Is it because we can, they can visualize
right. I
them?
personally feel, I'm tuning into you. I'm right before you.
I knew you were doing that.
I personally feel I've had 4 dreams of my father since he's
Really?
passed. 4 dreams,
See,
and
I
it's
don't-
been 15. It'll be 15 years in September, And I can tell you, like the back of my hand, what those 4 dreams were. And I think it is because we want that contact again. We want to have that conversation. Yes, people can go to us, but at the same time, there's nothing better than actually having that conversation with that person.
I don't have visits in my dreams. I've had one in 5 years. Well, between my brother and all, I don't know. But I've had one from my son in 4 years. But it's just that's not the way he communicates with me.
And that's okay. That's one
Right.
thing that we want you to know is that that's okay that you may not dream of your loved one. They may be showing you other signs.
Right.
You know, like we always talk about a lot of times for Zachary, I'll bring
License
this up.
plates.
License plates all the time. Pay attention to the numbers on the license plates. Cardinals, dragonflies, butterflies. I know we always talk about these animals, but they seem to be so popular when we think of our loved one. Hawks are huge.
Right.
When we think of our loved one, all of a sudden we'll look and we'll see a hawk.
And again, not to interrupt you, actually
I know,
tomorrow,
we're like, we're talking.
tomorrow night I have a free online seminar that is about how to recognize signs from your loved ones. And it is going to, there's a little dusty here, it is going to include something that you can do to try to increase the connection with your loved ones during a dream. So that is incorporated in there as well.
See, that's for you. Everything's happening for a reason.
That's right. See, that's a sign.
That's a sign right there.
So if you're interested in registering for the course, you do have to register to be able to get the link to log in, but it is free. You can just go to my website and
Which is NicoleStevens.com, which Lily can type into the chat room too, so you guys can write it down if you don't know.
Yeah, and then they can just register right through there.
Okay.
So that's tomorrow night at 8. So
Before I switch, I just have one more question. If someone's passed, when do you think is too early or not early enough to get a reading? And if someone passed in 2012, are they still around?
oh,
Absolutely, absolutely, and it changes. I don't want to say it changes. Everybody is different.
Right.
That's my experience. I think we've both been able. I've been able to communicate with someone the day after they passed, and then sometimes I can communicate with someone.
It's up to
20
them.
years, exactly.
They
it's up
guide
to them.
it. I feel that in order for when you go to a reading or
Right.
schedule a session, you should be emotionally ready. So if it happened 3 weeks ago, you're probably not emotional ready, but some people will be. I kind of use this as a guideline, and maybe it's a poor analogy, but if the tissues are still in front of your eyes all the time, you're not meant to see or hear anything. You're still trying to absorb, and you're still going, what the hell just happened? And you're still trying to just
Sort out
exactly
the whys.
a little bit at least. But you have to, you know better than anyone else when you're ready, you're open, you're willing to go to that place. Because it's very emotional. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say,
See,
allow yourself
I like
that
to
time.
talk.
But
I'm just
allow
not a
yourself
talker.
that time. Allow yourself that time, because we've all been there. Again, I know I keep on repeating myself, but it's true. We've all been there. And initially, we may not be thinking clearly because we're still digesting everything that happened that particular day that that person had passed. So allow yourself some time. It doesn't mean that they're not with you. They are. But as a rule of thumb, like Nicole said, if you allow yourself some time, if you've taken the tissues away just a little bit more,
Right.
that could be a good time when to, receive a reading. But when I had mentioned prior that people have come to me like the day after they passed, a lot of times it's personally on people, close friends of mine, where it's someone that I know that's come to me. There has been situations where I have been given a reading and someone would briefly just come in and say hi because the person was actually trying to get in touch with someone else
Right.
that's passed, but yet they just had someone who passed recently and they just came. Did I just make sense? Or
Not at all.
Okay.
But I understood what you meant.
Well, what I mean is sometimes someone will book a reading and I'll be giving them a reading with somebody, and then all of a sudden I've gotten glimpses of people that had just passed prior to the person that the...
Okay, anyways, so.
Can you explain that? How do you explain it? Explain that better than me, please, because I'm talking in circles here.
If your loved one is meant to come through for you, they will. And you know better than anyone else. That's the bottom line, is that your experience should be absolutely beautiful. It's a lot to take in. It's a lot to process. So you know better than anyone when you're ready. Some people are ready 3 days after. Some people are ready, 2 years after. It really depends on you. But there's no set time frame as far as spirit.
Absolutely.
Spirit will come through whenever they're ready. It may be 10 years and spirit still doesn't come through because they're busy doing whatever it is that they're doing. So there's really, we can't say come between year 2 and 5 and you're good to go, because it doesn't matter.
And keep in mind too that sometimes it may take them a little while to get used to it. I always use a reference, it's like moving. You move to a new state or a new town and you're getting used to where everything is and who's there and what's going on. So sometimes they just have to kind of get used to their new surroundings and establish themselves and get the energy and figure things out for themselves.
I was just saying that during a session today that she had wanted her grandfather to do something very, very specific, and she said, but he didn't do it, and I'm really surprised, and he may not know how to do what she was asking. So when our loved ones cross, they're learning as well as we're learning. We're learning to communicate with them, and they're learning to communicate with us. So over there, they're learning to manipulate their energy to be able to do things. So she's very sad that this didn't happen, and he's probably looking down going, I'm trying here, give me, throw me a boat, I'm trying.
But you're so focused on seeing that, that one dream or that one rose. You asked for that red rose and you can't find the red rose, but you pass Red Rose Winery every day on your way to work. It's something as simple as that. So,
and it's true too, because from my experience, sometimes they come through, but they're not fully ready. Like they're ready to talk to you, but you might not be. Like Tiffany, one of our private readings, I thought I was totally ready to hear what she had to say, but I wasn't. And spirit started to pull back. She was still there and present, but sometimes they will pull back if they think you're not ready, if they can't handle it. At least with my experience.
I think that the energy, because when we're reading for somebody, we are raising our vibration. They're lowering theirs, and if we have someone who's vibrating very, very high on emotion, they're going to override that whole thing. So it kind of, it makes it a little more difficult for us to connect, to be able to deliver the messages. So that definitely can happen. And I know with myself, and I'm sure you're the same way. I mean, if no one comes through, I would never charge anyone or, anything like that, because they guide everything. So we kind of just allow the process to be however it is. And I'm sorry. So I am just a talker tonight.
I know.
You just let me out of the house.
I just wanted to say one thing, if I might. If not, it's okay. I'll just
Sorry,
wait.
I don't know what is getting into me. I never talk. I'm usually really quiet.
But this is good. This is good. Did I just put? Okay, I thought I put myself on mute again. Sorry, guys.
Just going it down. Just move over. Let me at it.
Sorry. But what I was going to say, and I do say this often, is that it's usually information that you need to hear, not necessarily information that you want to hear. And I know, Lily, with your reading, at that time, you weren't ready to hear some of that, even though I didn't know that, but you weren't ready to hear some of the information. So a lot of Lily's responses were, I'm not sure, I don't know. And so what I always tell people is, well, write it down, let it digest, and then after the reading, and she had time to really go over it, she was like, oh, I know what she's talking about. Yep, I got it. Because she ended up getting back to me and letting me know afterwards. So, go ahead, Necole.
No.
I'm kidding. Do we have any questions, Lily?
Sorry.
No questions right now.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
I'm kidding.
I know.
I just wanted to introduce us again in case people are late tuning into the show. But my name is Tiffany Rice, Spirit Medium Tiffany Rice. This is Necole Stevens. She's also Spirit Medium. And this is guest chat room host Lilly Fasino.
It's Fasino.
Fasino. I know. I always say Fasino. Fasino.
You say it different every time.
I was having issues speaking earlier. I was like, where's the paper?
That's why I just took over. So
I know, you're like, you're having obviously a rough night. So, but anyways, to get back to it, like seriously, if you have anything to add to that.
No, I don't.
You can.
No, I usually don't talk this much. I'm just like, let
Well,
me
you know
out of the
what's
car.
funny
I was
is
in the truck for 2 hours.
Usually when Nicole's on, she's so like,
quiet.
Okay,
And I'm,
this is great. And I'm like, hey, ba 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 ba. And you're the one tonight that's like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, but
you know what? It's just that I am so passionate about grief. I don't know if that even sounds
well, it's something
correct.
that's complete. By the way, am I sitting up much higher than you?
Yes, I thought you grew.
Oh my gosh, if you could see, well, you guys can see, I look like I'm the Jolly Green Giant. Hold on.
You've been like that
Am
the
I-
whole time because I keep looking up to you. But
Okay, now
see,
this
I'm
is-
usually quiet. I just whatever.
This is, I just, I'm like looking and I'm like, I look like I am this ginormous Amazon. So guys, how's the show? But anyways. Nice.
breath.
Okay, deep breaths. Nice. Shake it out, right?
Oh, shaking it out.
We had the last time Nicole's on. And by the way, Nicole's going to be a monthly guest here on Spirit Connections. So I'm so excited. And each month we're going to have
Can I
different
interrupt
topics.
you?
Oh, of course. Why wouldn't you?
So if there are any topics that you want to hear about specifically, please feel free to ask in the chat room, or you can email myself or Tiffany, or post it on our Facebooks. Just write, we want to hear about, because we'd love to know what you want to hear about. That's why we're here.
How can they find you on Facebook?
My Facebook page is Necole Stevens.
Nicole Stevens, Spirit Medium, and Reiki Master. And mine is Spirit Medium Tiffany on Facebook. So if you can go there right now,
And post some stuff. We want to know what
post
you
some
want to
stuff,
hear.
like the page, get involved. We both have free newsletters you guys can sign up for. We'll just say that we're going to be on each other's shows. Seriously.
I'll try
that's
not to
pretty much
take
how we
over and
go.
talk.
You have an event coming up in Waltham.
I do, and I'm really excited. It's in May,
Okay, May what?
May 30th.
May 30th.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not Memorial Day weekend, right?
I hope not.
Oh, no, it's a Saturday. You're doing it on a Saturday.
I don't think so.
Oh, no. There's 31 days in May. Sorry.
Yeah, I think it's a Friday night.
Sorry. 30 days past September.
I'm
April,
really
June,
excited
November.
though about it, to go there. I had a great group there last time I went, so
Well,
I'm
maybe
excited.
I'll be a secret crowd person.
And we're gonna have pastries, and it's gonna be
Oh.
a beautiful. It's gonna be a nice event,
Speaking of pastries,
and we're gonna actually bring them to this one.
I know. The last event that we did at my office in Pembroke, we forgot the pastries.
Yes, she did.
Just so you guys know, not to push myself now, but I do have an event coming up at Gennaro's.
I thought you were gonna say you forgot your. Never mind. I thought you were gonna say
No.
how forgetful you were.
April 14th. It's a Monday night at Gennaro's Eatery and Bakery. It's in Quincy. It's a small crowd. I'm only doing 30 people. Reading. It's an event held for 30 people.
Right.
It's very intimate. So I know tickets are still available. You can go to gennaros.com for that too.
And it's a bakery.
No, it's a bake. Well, that's what I thought of because when I did my first event there a couple weeks ago, and right when I walked in, they had these ginormous desserts in the fridge, and of course I was like, I want that one, I want that one. So after the reading, it was, you know how we get. Our energy runs low, so right away we crave sugar and crave
Oh, I do that all day long.
Yeah.
So.
This question was already answered. Both of these were, but I believe these people might have come in after.
Oh, okay.
So when do you think someone would be ready for a reading, and is my son still around?
Okay. Well, again, our loved ones are always around us.
Always.
All the time, and we can both attest to that. And it really depends on the individual that passed as far as how soon, how soon should
Can
they?
you go for a reading?
It says, when will I be ready for a reading?
You'll
When you
know
feel-
when you feel it,
when you
right?
feel
You'll
it.
know better than anyone. I don't have a set time frame. The only thing I do is I do have a set time frame in between sessions.
Right.
I like them, so if you have a session, a private one-on-one.
You wouldn't want to go weekly. Is
No.
what we're saying. Not at all.
So I like to keep that a little further
Wow,
out. But
exactly.
but you'll know when you're ready and you'll feel it. And it always works out that way as well. Do you notice that? I don't know if you this ever happens with you, but somebody will make a session and they're very ambivalent or nervous and they're not sure if they should be or shouldn't be. And for whatever reason, something will happen. I mean, I could get a cold or just something will happen that the session doesn't end up working out. And then it goes the other way too. So you're just meant to have a session, and there was that opening on that day, which it fell on your loved one's birthday, you know, and it's kind of crazy how that happens.
It's
no coincidences.
True. It's true, no coincidences. And I just want to bring up, this may sound like the most random comment, but I have like a strong taste of apple pie right now. So I don't know if that means anything to you.
I like
but
it.
I love apple pie too, but like I'm tasting like the homemade crust and everything.
On the way down here, I had an apple for dinner, and I have half of it in my truck.
Wait, can I just read something from the chat room?
Yeah.
So someone just posted, I'd like to share a story. It's a different fruit, but it kind of just caught my... so she said her husband always bought her cherries for Valentine's Day.
Oh.
And since he's passed, she keeps getting... Her keyboard's being a little funky, so I assume Spirit keeps sending signs of cherries.
Well, I love it. I love because...
So it's just funny because you just...
And just like we said, like the rose and so forth, like we may think like it's the actual rose, but like I said, you could be passing Red Rose Winery, you know, or something on your way into work. It doesn't have to be the physical form of what that object is. So even if for you with cherries, it could be cherry pie, or it could be
You can even meet
cherries.
someone named Cherry.
Exactly.
And is it Cherry, right?
Cherry.
Yeah, Cherry.
Well, it's funny. My sister's name is spelled C-H-E-R-I,
Right.
so people would call her Cherry, and I'm like, no, it's Sherry, it's Sherry. And so, like throughout the years, that was pretty annoying, but we got through it. But yeah, there are people named Cherry, like Punky Brewster. Remember her friend Cherry?
No. She's too young.
She's
So.
too
I
young,
remember
but
Funky Brewster, but I don't remember Cherry.
Cherry. Google
Oh,
it.
yes.
Somebody
her friend,
Google
the
it.
neighbor
Yes.
next door. I remember
Yes,
now.
Cherry.
With the dog. No, that was Punky Brewster.
Yeah.
Oh, see, I'm much better with I never watch TV, so.
But no, thanks for sharing that story because, like I said, I love hearing it, and it keep in mind it doesn't have to be the common ones that we talk about. Those just tend to be
No.
very common.
It's other people that keep giving her cherries for Valentine's Day now.
Oh,
I love it.
you're gonna make me cry. I want to give you some cherries, George Washington's, right? They're the George Washington cherries, the one with the seed in it, right? Or maraschino, marachinos.
Yes, that's right. It's that one.
Never mind. I'm just.
Do you want me to just keep talking?
Maybe you should keep on talking. And again, guys, if you have any questions, please get your questions into the chat room. This is like a giggle fest, isn't it? Mm-hmm. I love it. We're actually running out of time. We only have a few more minutes. So if you
Really?
guys do have, maybe we can take one, maybe two questions, because I know we only have a couple minutes left. So if there are.
And let us know what you want us to talk about, what you want to hear about. Do you want to hear about, motivation? Do you want to hear about manifesting? Do you want to hear about dreams? Let
Ways
us
to
know.
help you relax and
Yes,
let go.
meditation.
Yeah.
So let us know what you want to hear about. Even if it's down, dirty, bad, well, you know what I mean. As far all right, that sounded really bad.
It's okay. Just go
But-
with it. Just go with it.
But I mean raw emotional things that people don't want to talk about with grief, especially with grief. That's something that, people leaving your life when you're grieving and,
Right.
and you're alone and you feel like you don't have anyone, or how do you deal with, if you're a single parent and you're by yourself, or spouses,
A single
oh,
child, a
Yes.
singleton, and you lose both of your parents.
spouses.
There's
I mean,
just
that
so
is-
many different
right.
areas.
So let us know what you want to hear about.
We would love to exactly, we want to listen to you. We want to bring forth some of the topics that you want to hear about. So whether you get in touch with me, tiffanyrice.com, or Necole, NecoleStevens.com, make it nice and easy for you. You can go to my Facebook page, Spirit Medium Tiffany, or Necole Spirit.
Nicole Stevens,
Thank
Spirit
you.
Medium and Reiki Master.
Yes.
I need to take that out of there since I don't really do Reiki that much anymore.
Well, I think I still post things on the wrong page, but for you, it's okay. And one last question.
Just again, is my son near me? That's all we've
And
got.
just know that he is, and I know you feel,
Yeah.
as always, we are never truly alone. I always say that because our loved ones
Right.
are very, Yeah, and just be aware there's always going to be signs.
And ask him, ask him for a sign, be specific, ask for a time frame. Be very, very specific. You want to see 3 cherries in the next, week, or whatever it may be that, works for you. But your son is always with you. They guide us, they help us, and they push us. And if you haven't signed up for tomorrow night, you definitely should, about signs and recognizing them and, what our loved ones do for us,
They're
how they
always
help
there,
us.
and they're always
We're about
with
to
us.
cut out, and we just have one last question.
Sure.
Is it true that red birds are a sign from loved ones? I just
It-
in capitals yelled yes.
Yes, cardinals,
I know.
cardinals.
And signs are very unique for everybody. So red cardinals for me are not a sign, but for you they are, or for you they are,
Right.
So they're very unique. My signs are usually very different than your signs. If I, give you a penny, you're going to be like, what do I do with this? If you give me a penny, it may not mean something to me, but a dime may.
Right,
So it's very unique.
it's unique to you. So just because you
Right.
go and tell one of your friends and they're like, oh, that doesn't matter, because it doesn't mean anything to them. It means something to you. The message is for you,
Right.
not for that person or that person, but for you.
And they're going to
So-
send it to you so you understand it. Not so we
Exactly.
understand it, but for them,
Exactly.
you to understand it.
Well, with that being said, we have to wrap up the show. It's almost past our hour mark. But I want to say thank you guys for tuning in. We're so happy that you take the time to watch us. Again, if you have any topics that you want to share with us, please get in touch with us. We'd love to hear it. Nicole, you're coming back April 22nd. 22nd being your lucky day.
I know.
And thank you, Lily, for being in the chat room and monitoring
you.
everybody. So I know it's a lot of work, so thank you so much. And for you guys at home, we will see you soon. Have a great night.